Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Well, as promised, we will be starting off, and this first video will be an overview of the UK educational system. Well, just the basics that you need to know, especially around assessments. That's usually the most important for some students, but of course we all agree that knowledge is power. So yes, I'm here to give you the basics and certain key terms that you also should be aware of. I'll start sharing my screen soon, and I will see you at the end of class. Go away. Okay, fantastic. So, a good overview of the UK educational system. We'll just focus on assessments and certain key terms you should be aware of. Okay, welcome to the UK. For those of you just coming in, maybe for your BSc or your Masters or maybe your PhD. I will be doing some videos on other parts, PhD and what have you. But in general, the UK educational system, as we may all agree, is great standard. Most universities are really reputable, amongst the first 1,000 universities in the world. So, yeah, it's a great system overall. But you could also agree that it is somewhat different from other educational systems. So I'm curious, I want to know, tell me about it in the comment section. Please do let me know what's your own experience, if you compared what was happening or is happening in the UK to your own country. What was the very shocking thing for you, if you've started here already? If you haven't, and maybe you're just planning to come in, I hope at the end of the session you'll be able to tell us, just leave a comment around what you've learned that's new and what is different, and probably what is similar as well. Well, in the UK, when you come in, you have lectures and have seminar sessions as well. So during the lecture, most of the theories and concepts will be explained by the tutor, and it could be quite engaging. They give you a chance to ask questions, the teacher responds. But basically, it's a time when, the teacher does more of the talking, really, except in student-led lectures. But that's most likely a seminar session where you get a chance to have those student-led seminars and what have you. So the lecture, you're told what the theories are, and you get a chance to ask questions in summary. The seminar, however, is more activity based. It gives you a chance to put to practice, if you may, what you've covered during the lecture. You may have seminar slides. You could just have a case study, or you may have a presentation or report. It depends on, again, your school. For the engineers, it'll be more practical. For business students, there'll be more of case studies and discussion of companies, businesses, concepts. There could be role playing and, teamwork activities and what have you. Structured differently for different modules, different courses, of course. But yeah, these are the basics. And you may have an hour lecture and a 2-hour session for your seminar. Or it could be 2 hours for each. There isn't a particular standard in that regard. But do attend both sessions. They're both usually very useful. If you don't attend the lecture, you may be quite lost with the seminar activities because you wouldn't have had the background knowledge you need to actually respond to whatever questions will be asked during your seminar. So please do attend both when you get here. So, what is it like for you? How are you assessed back home? I'm a Nigerian, and back home we do more of exams. So it was one of those shocking things, like you get here and you do more of essays. Actually, if I remember clearly, during my MBA, I only did, I think it was just one exam, and the others were essays, basically, and I think one report as well. We'll look into those in depth as we go along. So please do subscribe so you don't miss anything. So yes, do lots of essays, report writing, and there's this learning log thing as well. You could be informed from the very beginning, or it could be part of your project for the second assessment, depending on how your assignment is structured. But basically with the learning log, you could be asked to record or keep records of activities you've done in class or in the seminar, or you'll be given an assignment to complete, which you need to record, and it could also be part of your appendix at the end of any reports you've been asked to do. However it's needed, your tutor will let you know, and that'll be part of the rubric, which I'll talk about in a sec. Reflective reports, as the name implies, it's basically you thinking about your own experience, and there'll be certain models that you will need to use to kind of analyze that. The popular ones are Gibbs and Kolb's models. And again, it depends on the course. Take, for example, some modules like modules on culture. There may be certain models you'll be required to use in explaining your experience. So please do tailor it to whatever has been asked of you. Exams, similar to what you have in most countries. However, in the UK, with your exams, you still need to have in-text citations. Oh yes, they love a lot of referencing, so in-text citation is very important. But oftentimes you get to have, say, if you have a case study during the exam, you get to see the case study prior to the exam, or you may be allowed to practice certain questions in particular fields, or for some subjects that may also be part of the questions, and you get the chance to really practice prior to the exam anyway. But of course, it wouldn't necessarily be the same questions that will be brought, you'll be given during your main exam. And for the oral exam, this mostly it's just you defending what you've done, maybe what you've already submitted, or it's just giving you a chance to discuss certain concepts, to get some formative feedback as well. And oftentimes you have group presentations. You collaborate with your colleagues to produce a PowerPoint slide like this one, for example, and you get a chance to discuss different points within a short time, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, depending on how it's structured. Okay, there aren't any hard and fast rules. I can't say to you that it's going to be 10 minutes or 15. It just depends on your university, depends on the way the module is structured generally. Debates, this one is also an interesting assessment tool there. You get to be, we did a debate in during my master's as well. It's just colleagues, you have to see it on both sides. You have your colleagues taking on the pro side and you taking on the con, or vice versa. Anyway, the important thing to note is that you need to be critical. I can tell you for free, the word critical will come up a million times. So I may as well just say it now. Well, when talking about your discussing your points, ensure that you make logical arguments. You need to have references. For all of these different assessment types, you need to have references, okay? And then the case study as well. Oftentimes it could be about a business. It could just be a popular organization, or it could just be, a made-up one. Whichever it is, you need to link theories to discuss the case, and you need to ensure that they're both embedded in your discussion. Oftentimes what I find students doing is just regurgitating whatever it is the case had said back into the essay, and you're like, no, your report should have a good blend of theory and the case study, rather than just having, say, this happened in the organization and that happened in the organization and on, for example. And some just kind of, have one part is all about the case study and another part is about the theory. And that, again, doesn't make a good salad. If you want to prepare salad, you don't necessarily just have your cabbage first and then your lettuce next and your carrots next. You chop them all up together nicely, put them all together and add that cream and make it really delicious. So yes, we want to see something like that in your discussion as well. But again, these are things we'll cover in depth. Just a quick overview. So types of assessments, there are two basic ones, the formative and the summative. The formative assessment is just for feedback, just to help you kind of see how you're doing. It's more for progress evaluation. What do you need to change? How can you adjust your work so it's better, if you may? And then for the summative assessment, this one is graded, so you need to take it seriously. Sometimes it's 100%, sometimes it could be 60%, and then you have a different coursework that will be 40%. So some modules may be structured in such a way that you've got one singular assessment that is graded as 100%, and then you can give your tutor maybe an outline so they can give you feedback on the outline, or they may have a different question for a formative assessment to give you, if you like, some sense of how you're doing in terms of responding to the question you've been given. Okay, one of the tricks is to absolutely understand what you've been asked to do. If you don't know what you've been asked to do, that is a recipe for failure. Oh, I can tell you for free, because think about it. If you go ahead to do something entirely different from what you've been required to do, how do you get marked? Yeah, there is a rubric which you will be given for every module. You need to know what you're really required. I'm going to talk about a key example here. So some general tips for you when you just get here. Please do attend your induction program. Know what you're required to do. You don't want to be responding. Maybe you're asked to talk about transformational leadership. You don't want to discuss transactional leadership, because that is absolutely different from what you've been asked to do, even if, of course, both are leadership theories. Okay, so just be aware of that, please. Very important. Okay. So you also need to read the module handbook, and obviously you need to maximize your learning opportunities. Do ask questions. I can dare to say there aren't any stupid questions, but of course, if there's something that's not clear to you, feel free to send your tutor an email. Most tutors have, an hour or 2 hours within the week that, you could discuss those, that you could go in and have a chat, and maybe it's online. Okay, so the office hour, basically, do maximize it. Okay, for your assignments, these reports or essays are normally submitted online, so you need to do your research. You need to read broadly. Okay, they're mostly written as well, and you get a chance to have 10 plus minus words. So if you were given 2,000 words, for example, you get a chance to write about 1,800 or 2,200. For the presentation, you need to know what you've been asked to do and how many slides you need to provide, if you need to submit it before the day of the presentation, if it's a voiceover or if you're doing it in person. All of these details will be given to you as well. And so it would be for the group work. And for exams, it's normally at the end of the module. It's really to test whether you've learned something and your skill. There will be a lot of focus on critical writing with the reports, and some elements of that may be required as well in your exams. And again, it depends on your level. So at the moment, I'm just going to give an example for a master level, say a master student in HR. So this question, what the student has been asked to do is to discuss the extent to which they agree that remote working intensifies employees' work and limits work-life balance. And the question really is asking, to what extent do you agree? So here, it's not asking you to say, yes, I agree, or no, I disagree, or whatever. It's actually requiring you to evaluate the issues. What are the goods or the pro and the con of this particular subject matter? Okay, so if you're working from home, yes, your office space is will no longer necessarily be required. You don't need to spend time traveling and what have you. But it means you may find yourself being on your computer all day. It could also be a case where, you could be distracted, and but you could also have some positive spillovers as well, where you could be doing some work and also maybe caring for a child or whatever it is. So the point here is to discuss both aspects, okay? The benefits or merits or advantages, and the disadvantages or demerits as well. Okay. And yes, with the use of academic literature, there are certain things that are common knowledge. You may not necessarily need to define what remote working is. It's common sense, isn't it? So you want to apply those kinds of topics rather than defining them, because your work may become needlessly descriptive. So academic literature, I would say for a 2,500 or a 2,000 word document, you should be looking at, push yourself to at least 10 different sources. It's not necessarily about the quantity, but quantity it does matter, because if you have read broadly, that will reflect on the kinds of arguments that you will give. Please take note of your deadline, really important, and you definitely don't want to miss it. Okay. So, some modules may say use a number of sources, say 5, for example, or 10, but do use a core text. Do take, concepts from the module. If you go completely outside what you've been taught, in a sense, it's good to do really broad reading and bring in all of those different concepts from different texts. But the recommended text should also be included, such that it doesn't seem as though you've just gone off on a tangent or given your work to someone else that didn't, attend the classes. They just want to see that you've engaged. Okay. Right. So what are the other key terms? I'm going to brush through these quickly, but not to worry. You will get a chance to listen to me discuss them in depth. All right, in subsequent weeks. So, one issue you don't want to have in the UK is being called in for academic misconduct, issues of integrity. Okay, most of these are around plagiarism, where you've copied some work from somewhere and you've not paraphrased properly, you've just pasted it there without any reference whatsoever. You may get in trouble. So you need to be aware of that. Academic writing, critical writing, very important. One loved professor once said, nobody was born with academic writing skill, and not even the British man or woman. So it gives you that sense that you too can learn and you can do it. The marking criteria, very important, is just the indicative content that is expected by the marker or your examiner. Paraphrasing, very, very important. We're going to look at that as well. Referencing, citation, there's several. Please note the one that is relevant to your institution and stick to it. It could be APA, it could be Harvard. The rubric, we've just looked at a sample. If you remember this, we've just talked about it. It just covers basically what you're required to do on any given assignment. Okay, the instructions for that assessment. And then Turnitin. This is a tool that most UK organisations, universities use to actually detect the level of similarity when comparing your work to whatever is out there. It's a massive database. If you've gotten some, maybe you've copied some work from something that was written by someone 20 years ago, you haven't referenced them, Turnitin can pick that up. Okay, so we will look at these topics in depth subsequently. All right, from the stables of Florence Gold Institute, thank you very much. Drop those questions in the comments, and it's just so I know that you're asking a question. You can put a Q in front of it and of course a question mark at the end. Okay, and you could also drop me a DM at 9 yards of art on Instagram. Thank you very much. And remember, we start from excellence. Go win. Yay! Well done. You made it to the end of class. Good stuff. Okay. So, what do you think? Are there certain key terms that you want to share with me? Leave them in the comments. What was the most surprising thing for you when you got here to the UK? And if you're here yet, what are those key terms that you've never heard before, or things that you're happy you've learned today? Again, if you haven't done that yet, smash the sub button so you don't miss anything. I'll always have videos, by God's grace, every week right here on this channel. Okay, thank you guys, and till we meet again, we start from excellence. Bye.